Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's start with the day's momentous news. President Joe Biden, remember him, he is the leader of the free world. Well, he's actually going to do something presidential, not for the country, but for his family. He's going to pardon his crack-addled whore enthusiast son, Hunter. But weren't we told over and over again that that would never happen?
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well,
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Not any possibility. Not any possibility. She was clear on that, as I said, over and over again.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
I'm starting to think that the Biden White House has been lying to us.
Again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Oh dear. And Joe Biden himself ruled out a pardon for Hunter.
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Yep, he ruled it out. You couldn't get any clearer than that. But then this happened today.
US President Joe Biden has pardoned his son's criminal convictions.
Now to someone I'm sure you've missed, the trans activist who almost single-handedly destroyed Bud Light. Here's Dylan Mulvaney telling us about how she feels post-election. I'm sure you've been dying to know.
How are you feeling at this moment in time?
I feel scared and hopeful and a little reckless, but sexy and fun. I no longer feel like I am trying to win over the wrong people anymore. I think that I want to find my community. I know a lot of who those people are and find some more of the good ones.
Now to a clip for lefty women with daddy issues. This is a hairdresser from Omaha, Nebraska with some terrible advice and a warning here. This woman is insufferable.
So you want to get back at your dad for voting for Donald Trump, do you, pumpkin? I have a great idea. Show up to Thanksgiving with a shaved head and see what happens. Because American dads have never really been given the room to adequately express themselves, it makes them real mad when you do for yourself.
I told you she was insufferable, and she's not just encouraging irrationally angry women to make some very poor decisions. She wants to facilitate it.
Other dad-mad options would include getting a tattoo on your face or your neck or even your hands, maybe. Ooh, or a facial piercing. That'll really set him off. I love doing like that so much. I even want to help you on your dad-mad journey, cutie. And you would like to shave your head before you go home for the holidays? I'll do it for you for free.
Do you think she just wants to uglify the competition? It is a interesting strategy. Now to activist journalists. Is there another kind? Kara Swisher. She considers herself an astute political commentator and strategist. This was her advice to the Democrats earlier this year.
Rapist, racist, fascist, over and over and over again. And then the trials are happening at the same time. He's just had to pay, he's just $93 million poorer right now. And just hammer it in with those three things: rapist, racist, fascist.
Gosh, I'm shocked that didn't work. How did that not work? But after cheering on the lawfare and the unhinged attacks on Donald Trump and his supporters, Kara now wants the Republicans to stop celebrating. Apparently there is too much joy. Listen to this bitter lunacy.
My fail is them insulting everybody and doing everything. I think they're overstepping really quickly and becoming sore winners. NFL players are doing the Trump dance. Did you see this? Like, they're doing that stupid, weird, dance he does where he looks like he's two horses. This isn't going to endear you to anybody being sore winners. Just stop it. Whatever. Do your stupid dance. But let me just tell you, you think liberals are irritating? You're irritating too. And I agree, some liberals are irritating, but we do need to get along. And you're just being douche nozzles about it. So whatever.
Oh, now we need to get along. Before, the Republicans were racists and Nazis and convicts, but now we all need to get along. Stop celebrating your massive win and being sore winners. Talk about being completely out of touch with reality. If you want to know why folks are dancing, if you want to understand what we saw at the UFC, then listen to Jesse Kelly. He gets it.
The roof sounded like it was going to come off the place. It went so loud when Trump went in there. And then after John Jones knocked out the guy he was fighting in the heavyweight championship fight, he does the Trump dance in front of everybody and gets on the microphone and says, essentially, I'm so grateful Donald Trump is here. It's such an honor. He goes over and shakes his hand and hands him the championship belt like it was this big, big, big sports moment. But what was that moment? The moment was there has been an outright rejection of how the left has dominated our culture in every single way. And they've been so vicious and mean and dogmatic to anybody, including professional athletes who ever spoke out against them, that what you're seeing now is a rejection of all of it. And the reason it is being rejected is they abused power when they had it, and then they lost it.
Now to a woman who has never been accused of having her finger on the polls. Here is MSNBC anchor Joy Reid losing it over an amusing meme.
What is happening here? What is happening here? Here, what is happening? What's happening here? What's happening? What's happening here?
Joining me now is comedian and host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV, Alex Stein. Let's start with the Hunter Biden pardon. I'm not shocked, I've got to say, but the White House did assure Americans over and over again that this would not happen, that Joe Biden would not do this. And yet, in the final weeks of his disastrous presidency, he has done that. And remarkably, he has accused the Justice Department of conducting lawfare against Hunter Biden. I would argue precisely the opposite has happened. He has been protected and he could have been charged with far more serious offences.
You know, Rita, I could sit here and I could get upset, but just the fact that Jill Biden won that, she wore that red dress to go vote, and I think it's pretty obvious that the Biden family wanted Donald Trump to win, and Joe Biden put on the Trump hat because of that, because of the great inadvertent campaigning that he did for Donald Trump. I don't care that he pardons Hunter. You know, he wouldn't be a good dad if he didn't pardon him, and he's done a lot worse than pardoning his son, so you know, I'll let it slide as an American, Rita. It's just that's the way politics works.
It is, and don't forget the major free kick he gave the Republicans in the final weeks where he called all of Trump's voters garbage. Remember that? That didn't go down too well. But you know what? I don't think that was deliberate. I genuinely think he was just confused, as he often is, and he said something that he didn't know was going to do so much damage to Kamala. While we're on the Biden family, let's hear from Jill Biden, Dr. Jill, talking about the White House Christmas tree from the Blue Ridge Mountains that were devastated by Hurricane Helene.
The Cartner family lost thousands of trees in the storm, but this one remained standing, and they named it Tremendous, for the extraordinary hope that it represents.
The optics there are great, aren't they, Alex? This majestic tree survives the storm, and the White House have it cut down and brought to DC.
Well, you know, Rita, a lot of people here in America, they complain that we have spent billions of dollars on the Ukraine and Russia war. But I don't want to complain at all. We did give them $750 for that tree. We gave everybody in North Carolina $750. So I think that's fair and square. You know, so Jill Biden, you know, go girl, you go girl. You got that big tree. It's your last Christmas. Can't wait to see it never again. So I really don't mind, but it is sad what happened to the people in North Carolina right before the campaign, right before the election day, and nobody seemed to want to help them. And then the FEMA administrator said that they ignored people with Trump signs in front of their house. So it's absolutely disgusting, the disaster response. That's not a joke, but this whole presidency of Joe Biden has been a joke, so I'm not surprised.
Well, it will be the Biden family's last Christmas at the White House. We're going to have a new era. And we remember Melania's decorations at Christmas were standout. She has a very unique style. So we've got a lot to look forward to in 2025, Alex. On Donald Trump, he has made one of his most significant selections yet. This is one that a lot of people have been waiting for, praying for, and the president-elect has come through and selected Kash Patel as the next director of the FBI. Kash is an attorney. He's got experience in national security, intelligence, counterterrorism. He served as senior director for counterterrorism at the National Security Council. And I think the deep state are in a whole world of trouble.
And the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
Alex, what else can you tell me about Kash Patel, about this selection? I would imagine those who are on Jeffrey Epstein's client list would be rather nervous today.
Well, we know Bill Clinton was on the Lolita Express about 26 times. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of very influential people that are very worried about Kash Patel getting in power and releasing the Epstein list, and as well as the Diddy list. But this is why Kash is so great, and I'm lucky to call him a friend, is that he's also going to help a lot of the January 6ers. You know, obviously some people, I guess you could say, did some bad stuff, but a lot of people were just there peacefully protesting. And I know Kash will be focused on correcting the weaponization of our Department of Justice against American patriots that really cared about our country.
Well, that January 6th issue is one that is something I think a lot of the mainstream media don't understand, and they don't understand why it's so significant for people who weren't there, who weren't protesting, but who absolutely loathe the two-tier justice system that they see at work, that the way BLM writers were forgiven, many of them not even charged, prosecuted, and yet people who were guilty of non-violent offences being behind bars, receiving lengthy jail terms. And a lot of Americans look at that and say, these people are political prisoners, Alex.
Well, you're exactly right. And I mean, if the punishment fit the crime, people wouldn't be so upset. But there's people that were just peacefully there that walked in the building are getting 10 to 15 years. Yet the Summer of Love, they burned down almost every auto zone in America and nobody got in trouble. And a federal courthouse in Portland was burnt multiple days in a row and the person only got a slap on the wrist. So people see the two-tier justice system, and Kash Patel, I think, is the person that can expose it for sure.
Now, soccer is becoming the latest sport, Alex, to have gone from taking the knee for BLM back in 2020 to celebrating goals with Trump's iconic MAGA dance. Here is a USA player, Christian Pulisic, and his teammates performing the dance during a game against Jamaica. Australian soccer star Noah Botic also celebrated using the Trump dance over the weekend when he scored his first goal of the match.
And this young side, they are plucky.
Alex, this cultural phenomenon, this shift is showing no signs of slowing down. People are becoming a lot bolder about doing a MAGA dance, about wearing a MAGA cap. They're sick of the left having so much control over the culture.
Well, especially in sports, in 2016, you didn't see any touchdown celebrations imitating Donald Trump, but now you see it on every soccer field, football field, it's basically everywhere you look. But when it comes to being cool, if you're liking Trump, it didn't used to be cool. Now it's cool to like Trump, and all the celebrities are finally hopping on board because they realize more than half the country likes Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is not a criminal. Donald Trump is not a Nazi. Donald Trump is not how the media describes him. And now it is culturally cool to dance and do the Trump dance, and it feels good. It's an easy dance. Everybody can do it, even if you're, probably disabled. Disabled people can do it, and that's the best thing, is that Trump created a political and cultural movement that everybody can participate in.
Now, let's talk about the southern border. A 10-year-old boy has been found wandering the desert near the Texas border. Let's have a listen.
¿Qué pasó, mijo? ¿Qué traes? ¿Te dejaron solos? ¿Qué? ¿Viniste solo? ¿Qué tantos años tienes, mijo?
10.
10 años. ¿Y vienes solo? ¿Sí? ¿Y tu papá y tu mamá?
Mi mamá no va a estar en Estados Unidos.
¿Está en los Estados Unidos?
It's just heartbreaking, Alex. It happens all the time. We're told this happens daily, multiple times every single day. Last week, there was footage of a toddler crossing the border unaccompanied that went viral.
Venezuela, mamá. ¿Venezuela? ¿Sí? ¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿2 años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No?
Alex, this is the sickening reality on the southern border, but many Americans don't see that because the media have largely ignored it for 4 years. I'm sure that's going to change under the second Trump term.
Well, Rita, the saddest part about this, and you asked me to come on the show so we can joke and kind of tease the, lefties that are always losing it. But when it comes to our border crisis and you see the smuggling of humans, not only are these kids human cattle to these coyotes that smuggle them, they're also abused in all kinds of ways, in the most disgusting ways. And that's why they leave them. That's why the packs just leave them, not only just to fend for themselves, but maybe potentially they do die, and then they don't have any ability to say what happened and about the abuse that they face. So it's a really disgusting thing. If you want to come to America, come on, just come here legally. Don't smuggle humans and then potentially sex traffic them and ruin children's lives. And that's happening at a rate, Rita, that it's never happened before. And I see it. I see it in Dallas. I see little kids with people that don't look like their parents all the time. And I'm not saying don't come to America, but we just can't let everybody through. These people are too vulnerable, and it's just really sad. And I hope Trump can fix it on day one of his inauguration.
Now, let's talk about far-left Senator Bernie Sanders. He's surprised a few people by supporting Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are heading Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency. Bernie Sanders admits that significant cost-cutting is needed after the Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, Alex, failed its 7th audit in a row.
Rita, obviously they are lying about where that money's going, and Bernie Sanders is all about saving money. Even Joe Rogan used to like Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders isn't a bad guy. I don't think he wants the government to continue to waste money and not be accountable for what they're doing with it. So good for Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders. I hope he follows through and helps out the Department of Government Efficiency as soon as they get in there.
You're far kinder to Bernie than I am. Any socialist who's got how many homes? I think 3 at last count. And despite everything the Democrats have done to him and how they've corrupted the system to stop him being the candidate, he still plays along. He backed Joe. He backed Kamala. So, no, you are way too kind to him, Alex Stein. But that's who you are.
Well,
You're
Rita,
a kind man. Thanks for your time tonight.
Rita, I am kind, but AOC is potentially going to run for president. So now I got to like AOC too. So they're all winning me over. It's crazy. Bernie, Joe Biden, AOC, they've all made me happy in the last month.
Oh, goodness me. AOC is your secret crush, so I'm not surprised by this. Alex Stein, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rita.
The post-election soul-searching continues in the US, and while there are many doubling down on identity politics and advising the Democrats to lurch further left, There are others, like my next guest, content creator and commentator Clarkson Lawson, who are giving the shell-shocked Dems some sound advice. But are they listening?
I'm sorry, but did you guys actually think that a working family was going to put your sexuality over their grocery prices? Being overly worried about social issues is a privilege. It's a privilege. If your vote is entirely based on social culture war issues, you are a privileged person, because the person who can't afford to eat is not giving a flying about whether or not your kid can be put on puberty blockers. Until liberals get off of their moral high horse and stop using politics to stroke their moral superiority complex, they will continue to lose elections.
Clarkson Lawson joins me now from Tampa, Florida. Clarkson, you're a liberal in the old sense of the word. People expect you to vote a certain way, to vote for the Democrats. Tell me, where did the Democrats lose their way and lose people like yourself?
Well, I think the Democratic Party today, and thank you for having me, has become so focused on identity politics and fear-mongering that people like me who are rational and want to see, proposed solutions to a lot of complex issues that are facing America right now, we get turned off by it. They get on stage and they fearmonger about Project 2025 and try to make me scared because I'm gay. Or, they'll talk about whether or not Stacey, who's 25, can get an abortion. Yeah, those are great things to talk about, but I'd also like to know why my groceries are so expensive. And I think that they've kind of lost sight of the average voter and what is really important to them. The stay-at-home mom who can't afford to feed their kids isn't worried about whether or not I can get married. And that's not even on the table to begin with.
Now, some of the Democrat mega donors and fundraisers are spilling the beans on just how disastrously this campaign was run. Let's hear from John Morgan here, saying that Trump's 18-year-old son, Barron, outsmarted the entire Kamala Harris team.
It turns out that Barron Trump, who looks like a runway model, was telling his father, you need to go on podcasts, you need to go on Joe Rogan. He was 3 hours late to a rally because he was doing Joe Rogan because that was so important. So Barron Trump is a lot smarter than everybody in the Harris.
And John Morgan has also said the manner in which Kamala wasted donors' money means she can never run again.
$900,000 to put her face on the Sphere in Las Vegas. In the Sphere, the ego, the crazy, the commissions. I was at the White House for a dinner Friday night, talking to a lot of people, and I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of whispering. There's a lot of names about who got paid this, who got paid that, and a lot of people got rich on the back of donors trying to stop Trump. And I think this disqualifies her forever. Forever. If you can't run a campaign, you can't run America.
Clarkson, looks like plenty of folk got rich from that $1 billion plus Harris spent. Do you really think her presidential aspirations are now dead and buried?
I don't think so. I will say she was only on the campaign trail for about 100 days. So given that the election wasn't necessarily a landslide for Trump, I would say that wouldn't rule her out of running. But that price tag is very big. So I think two things can be true at once. I think that her presidential aspirations aren't gone. I don't think they're hopeful. They might want to start looking into other politicians. But I will say, somebody's got to look into where those funds went and who was making those decisions, because that might not be Kamala's fault, but something was going on there for sure.
Well, yeah, it looks like they were just spending money like it was going out of fashion. I guess when you've got more than $1 billion to spend in a relatively short period of time, that's going to happen. Now, we know Donald Trump has been called a Nazi, a fascist, despite being the most pro-Israel president ever. He has a Jewish daughter and grandchildren, and he is about to have an Arab grandchild.
And your grandchild is going to be half Arab or Lebanese.
That's true.
So how do you feel about that?
I'm happy about it.
Okay, great.
I have many friends who are Arab, as you say, but from different countries, but Arab. And I'm very happy about it. They're smart. They're very warm people. it's a shame what's happening over there.
Clarkson, Donald Trump's youngest daughter, has married a American Lebanese man, and his father, who's a businessman and a peace advocate, Mossad Bullis, has now been appointed as Trump's Middle East advisor. What do you think about this, keeping it in the family, and this appointment that Donald Trump's just announced?
Well, I think this is a trait of Trump that we all know. He likes to be surrounded by people that are very loyal, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think in this case, if you want to drain the swamp, you don't put the swamp back in it. So what I'm really hoping is that he drains the swamp and then he builds on it. And I think that his cabinet picks are evident of that. He's always made out to be all of these different names. And I just wish that liberals could disagree with him on policy and not on, character assassination, calling him a racist or, Islamophobic, because it's just not true. And the average American sees through all of that. And I think that's exactly why he won the election.
Yep, they cried wolf too many times, Clarkson, all those slurs, racist, Nazi, fascist. No one believed it. No one believed the manufactured stories anymore. Clarkson Lawson, thank you so much for your time tonight.